Afternoon, Master. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Siddha-Vetha weekly webinar. Today's topic is 9 revolutionary physics concepts from Siddhas that will shake the world. We have the speaker, Dr. Sean. Dr. Sean is the Vice Chancellor of the Siddha-Vetha Center for Transdisciplinary Studies and a Harvard-trained scientist who received his PhD in applied physics from Rutgers and NJIT. Sean is also the Vice President of International Research, a scientific advisor, and head of the Indian Medicine, Science, and Culture Division at the World Institute for Scientific Exploration. Dr. Sean has published his research works in several international journals and books. He received many awards, to name a few: Aryabhatta Award for his research in Ayurveda, the ISOL Community Program Award for Indigenous Knowledge and Culture, the Star of the Universe Award from the Society of Universal Oneliness for taking initiatives to bridging the gap between ancient and modern science, the Real Hero Award from the Youth Foundation in India for his outstanding contribution to education, and the J.C. Bose Award for his novel scientific contribution. Dr. Sean leads several collaborative international projects on ancient science and technologies. He is spearheading several national and international level projects for uplifting humanity that includes, but not limited to, revolutionizing the Indian education system with his new paradigm based on the concept of co-realization. Let's welcome Dr. Sean for today's webinar.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Siddha-Vetha Webinar Series. So today the concept we are talking about is how do we change the education system of India, and how some of these concepts such as ancient physics can play a major role in creating a curriculum, and why this is very important. So as we are saying that the worldwide, not many people understand what physics is. Physics is a very hard subject too, and worldwide there is not much fund for physics, especially for research. It's very tough to get funding, and many professors are broke, but they do very passionately. If you wanted to really understand the concepts that I am talking about, it is necessary to be a physicist. Number one, should understand ancient science. You should at least know Ayurveda or Siddha fundamentals, and you should have a little bit of modern knowledge. If you do not have any of this, it's very difficult to grasp this concept. But I am talking today in a more layman language, even though I'll be sharing some slides which the Facebook viewers cannot see, but I will try to see the screen. I will show the screen to you. But the whole idea is to bring this concept of our traditional knowledge, so that it's a very small part of the whole traditional knowledge in physics that we have. what I'm bringing to you in front of you is going to change the world's perspective towards science itself. So far we have been learning science, and this science comes from the West. So when we say science, we usually think, it is Western science. So when you're thinking it is Western science, only the Western people can contribute to this science. So the people who are from other tradition, who have understood and lived in different ways, and their lifestyle modifications, their lifestyle is different. They've used different calendars, different type of perspective for life. All this is being lost. And we will be fooled by the Cartesian view, very atheistic view of the universe. And doctors become atheists. Scientists become atheists. So this theism and atheism is hidden in this whole science and technology. So when in the West, when we separated science and technology, they took out the concept of God, consciousness. I'm not talking about God in the sense of a human form or a different stories and all these things. I'm talking about consciousness as it is, as described in ancient Indian documents. So this, what I will be sharing has to do with my own inventions or discoveries. I would say discoveries. I can say there is nothing called invention in this world. Everything is a discovery. And I also wanted to put this forward, that this information may not be available elsewhere in the world. Not in ancient documents, but this is derived from the ancient documents. So I've used my own knowledge to extrapolate that. So the first concept what I wanted to share with you, I don't know if Facebook can view this. I'll try to show my screen. So the first concept is the wave theory. So far, there is no wave theory for the thought or mind as a wave function. So whenever we are talking about mind, usually people connect it with the brain. And this concept is completely wrong. And I can give you 100 reasons why this is wrong. But we don't have that kind of time. I can keep on going for hours on one particular lecture, but very logical. The thing is that the brain, there is a professor who did research on what the brain is. This has been published, say 10, 15 years back. I forgot the name of the professor, but you can find it in the YouTube. There are like around 25, 50 videos where he talks about why brain is not the important part of the whole process of signaling and transmitting and the whole thought process. He says it's a shock absorber. It acts as a shock absorber. But that is now becoming true. It is always true as per ancient knowledge. They have cracked down completely, like Patanjali, Theryer. These are people who really cracked down the ancient knowledge about the mind. as a wave function. So why this is important? Because if you don't understand the concept of wave function in mind, you can do anything you want in this universe, and there is no cause and effect system. So therefore you can do the same old mistakes in the name of science, technology, politics, medicine, anything. You will keep on doing the mistakes. But with the moment you understand that the mind is a wave function, the thoughts are waves, they travel, they have all the wave properties: class, reflection, refraction, penetration, interaction, all these properties. This is also available in latest literature of Dr. The Unified Force by Maharishi, who Vedatri Maharishi I'm talking about, who was exclusively discussed about the modernization of this. But this theory has been um, there for thousands of years. And this, I tried to publish this as a wave function in 2005 in Stevens Institute of Technology. And there was a real, there was ridiculing these concepts. And today, all over the world, people are trying to see, if this thought can interact with plants, thought can do, all these experiments. So I have done some preliminary experiments during my PhD on cells, where I transacted my thought, and then I could see changes in the cellular membrane in bulk. I could see the what you call the resistance of the cell in bulk. So this is one theory. If you take this theory, we can know why we have problems, why we should be honesty, why honesty is important. So all these things will, because eventually it's the wave. Whatever you think, it will happen. So the thought is a process, and this thought clouds, if bunch of people think the same way, is going to create a thought cloud, and the process will happen. So this understanding is needed in the modern science, and this can be tested. How we can test these theories? This theory can be tested by creating a number of people meditating. This was done by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi recently. That by meditating alone, we can control the crime rate of an entire state, right? So this was done. So same thing, if we are together, all of us at a meditative state, have put a thought in the universe. It should be a universal, a noble thought, and that is going to happen. So that noble thought, it could be even rain, or it could be something like stopping a disaster. This can happen. So this can be proved scientifically if we are funding this project. So this is number one theory that was given thousands of years ago. And now next is the spin theory. Spin theory, if you look at the many thousands of sage scientists quote this, from Abayar in Tirumandiram to all kind of Aluguni Sittar. Many sage scientists have talked about Sulatchi, wind Sulatchi. That means the spin of the energy particles. The spin of the energy particles. Today only we are looking at, in the modern science, we are talking about spin, Pauli's exclusive principle, and all the electrons and protons moving and spin. So this is a very fundamental spin. So what does this spin give you? Spin, when they talk about, they're talking about two different spins. One is a southern hemisphere spin and a northern hemisphere spin, or you could say opposite to each other. Because in 3 dimensions is very difficult. You cannot say right side or left side, but they all are opposite polarized. So the spin of the energy particles is very important, because these energy particles are within us. So because of spin, Human beings are different. You have a male and female component, not just human beings, it applies to even plants and animals. So we can differentiate a male and female depending on the number of energy particles that you have. You can determine whether it's a male or female, but depends on the spin. If the spin in the clockwise rotation is more than the anti-clockwise, then you become a male. If it is the opposite, a female. If it is equal or in between. So this is very natural to the spin of the particle. And the spin of the particle is responsible for the whole breathing cycle of us. So we breathe through one nose only, one nostril at one time, and then the switch. So it becomes clockwise, anti-clockwise, this switch. Only one eye will see at a time, actually, if you're speaking, but the eyes go very fast, so you won't know. It swaps very fast. Similarly, the ears, everything, our body functions, and we have all these things are two because of the spin. So one spin tried to, in evolution theory, one spin tries to rotate clockwise, the other one is anti-clockwise. So you have two holes on the top, as you evolve. So this has to do with the spin. So spin is a very important concept. So depending on the spin only, we are talking about whether these energy particles, how we are going to use these energy particles are very important. How the spin only creates magnetism. It's called Skanda Puranam. All the magnetic component of all the Muruga, the Kartikeya principles, which are discussed in the southern tradition, they all are linked with the magnet. It's a complete magnetic theory. And how, when you use this magnet, this the transformation, the spin is the number one component. If the spin stops, there is no magnetic produced. And if the spin stops, human beings, you will not exist. That's the end of consciousness. It just mingles with the consciousness within you. So these fundamental spin concepts are very, very important in understanding, and this can also be seen by some experiments can be conducted where you can find that whether this particular spin, by looking at your breath and changing the cycle, or even your babies, how you sleep, and you get when you sleep in the left hand side, whether you're getting a right hand, a male baby, all this can be seen through the corresponding to spin, including things like oil drop experiments, where they use oil drop. Everybody's urine also spins. If you look at the urine or fecal material, they all have spins when they come out of the body. They have either clockwise, anti-clockwise, or even your spitting, your tears, everything has a spin. So this all has to do with the spin of the energy particles, which confirms that these energy particles have clockwise and anti-clockwise, which is defined. And modern science has very less understanding about these fundamental energy particles. They only talk about atomic structures when it comes to spin, and do not um, correlate that with the external happenings. Right. So we are talking about whether you are closing your eyes or opening your eyes, has to do with the spin. In Western science, those things are not discussed. So now the next one is the gravity. So the gravity and specific gravity. So if you look at how people have understood in ancient science the knowledge about the chakras. So what are chakras? So if you look at chakras, they are just energy particles. So like how we have our heart and lungs, those days, heart and lungs have, they are. If you ask what is the center for the blood, you say heart, and what is the center for air, you say lungs. But in ancient science, they do not look into that. they look into the 5 elements, and these 5 elements are the 5 elements have centers. So that's very important. So when 5 elements have centers, each element will have a center according to the specific gravity. If you look at how it is defined, Earth as a center, the Earth is the heaviest element among the 5. Then you have water. This is the second heaviest element. Then you have fire, which is denser than the air but lighter than water. So fire is nothing but dense air, like plasma. It is very ionized air. So when we see, oh, what is your body made up of 5 elements? Yes, it is made up of 5 elements. They are not talking about 5 different. This is the. When people get confused with 5 elements, when you say 5 elements, usually people think, oh, we have water in our body, we have air, we are breathing in, and 70% of our body is made of. This is all modern knowledge. So you need to come out of this modern knowledge in order to understand this. So what is really the knowledge is about how these 5 elements are independently in our body, like the state of matter. This is when they're talking about the elements, they're talking about states of matter. So the heavier solid state is a state of matter. Liquid state is a state of matter. Fire is a state of matter. So like that, in our body, all the heavier elements, such as your bones, the flesh, all the solid ones, the nadis, all are solids. So solids are different. Liquids travel through them. Liquids could be blood, your cerebrospinal fluid, your tears, your synovial fluid, anything could be liquid. So that's one state of matter. Third one is a fire. Fire could be the digestion fire, which helps to digest the brajaka, kapha, the pitta, the one that gives shining to your to the skin, or it is the eye power that gives you the vision. All these all are different types of fires. And similarly, air, what we are breathing, there are 18 types of air in our body. So they have identified that each one is lighter than the other, and transformation, each element will have a transformation. So earth as a transformation is called smell, and water is taste, fire is heat and light, air transforms into the sound, and akash transform into touch. So these elements are even lighter, and therefore they are even thrown away from the earth. So the look at the centripetal and centrifugal force have been understood here. So heavier elements are thrown away from the earth. Lighter elements are thrown away. Lighter elements are thrown away from the earth, and heavier elements are drawn towards the earth. So this is the principle. So people, if they haven't understood that, chakras wouldn't have been. So chakras is everybody documented chakras. 18 siddhas have completely documented chakras. So, and many other sage scientists also documented chakras. So that means chakras have been there for thousands of years, and they have understood specific gravity. Otherwise, they wouldn't have defined this way. Okay, there could be some little school of thought. There will be differences in some, and we can explain that specifically. So this is one important theory to be understood. How to understand the anatomy of your body, this becomes very important. Then the concepts of scalar and vector quantities. So if you look at, I was just talking about the air in our body alone. So the air, I told you there are 18 types of air in our body. So 18 types of air has been described in the Siddha literature. So there are more to be, there could be more, but in the most recent, in Ayurvedic literature, we at least have 5 important important air types. So all these air types have a direction. So if you look at one of the the direction of the gravity, so gravity is another principle. As I told you, there is a gravity and specific gravity. So gravity has been defined, and the direction of gravity is this. That means everything compresses itself, which will come to at the end. But similar compression happens to the pranavayu. That's why pranavayu is very important. Pranavayu is a type of air like oxygen, nitrogen. In ancient days, they have called pranavayu, apanavayu, udanavayu, vayanavayu, and samanavayu, different vayus. So they have different directions. So if you look at the pranavayu, the direction of pranavayu is inward. So that means if you keep a ball here in space, it will just surrender, the vectors will surrender. So here we are talking about scalar and vector quantities. These are called spherical vectors. I have used this to derive the self-compressive force from the unified force in these theories in one of my papers. So I can share that. It's a draft, it's a manuscript. So so it is. So here, if you look at the direction of Udanavayu, that means I am able to speak to you because of the Udanavayu, which is pushing upward. Apanavayu is a air that goes downward, which which means anything that's going downward includes urine, your fecal material, menstrual cycle, everything needs Apanavayu. And today we have controversies in temples like Ayyappan temple in Kerala. So we have problems because people haven't understood this, why women need to be prevented from temple at a particular day, because the Apanavayu works downward, and when it reverses, it will create a lot of problems, including headache, migraines, and other problems. So these all are not understood properly because we don't know that these are vector quantities that are operating in our body. So similarly, Samana Vayu is another Vayu which create digestion. It is cylindrical in phase, so it's not like spherical. Instead, it's cylindrical. It compresses like a hard disk. It compresses cylindrically towards the center. So the Samana Vayu, that's why we have Samana Mudra or Samanangal. Samanangal means the crisscross posture. These all are important because when you do that, your Samana Vayu increases and your digestion happens. So this is one of the direction of that. So vector, so and then Vayana Vayu, it moves in all directions, including your eyes can move in different directions. You need a Vayana Vayu for that. You can, Vayana Vayu moves inside also with different parts for operating different things. So every moment air is needed, and all these directions, how big and what is the direction has been mentioned in ancient science. In order for you to digest a food, how big, there's a magnitude involved, and what is the direction. So when you have magnitude and direction, it's called a vector quantity. So they have understood the vector quantity very long time back, because these five have been described by Charaka, Sushruta, you can name it, all the modern sage scientists, sage Agastya, everybody has described this. Then you look at the photobiology or photomedicine. So when you look at photomedicine, we already have discovered photomedicine. So you all know that in your houses, every day, you're lighting. All the ancient people in our houses, you have a diya, or you light a lamp. And lighting a lamp is not an ordinary thing, because I teach in one of my courses. I use 10 kind of lamps, 10, not the lamps alone. I'm using 10 different types of oils. I know there are 1,000 different oils that can be used, and 10 different types of wicks I am using to give some, teach some particular way of getting this photo medicine inside you. So think about this knowledge, what they have. Today, I work in the Harvard Photomedicine, the Wellman Center for Photomedicine, and we were doing research. So I wanted to, what Harvard is doing is to trying to heal people using light. using, because that is in modern science, it's the most non-invasive way compared to radiations and other light, electromagnetic waves, or light frequency are much better. So they use this and they solve many problems, including cancer. Especially what they use is red and blue light. So if you look at the two things are very, normally used in India, because they have understood that even watching this light through our eyes, we can get the photobiological effect, which can change different patterns. Our brain patterns can be shifted. It will calm you down. It will heal the body. And also it is having healing property. So this is very, very important, understanding the photobiology. And the same thing with blue light, which usually they ask you to look at the sky, or they talk about Krishna or Shiva, all this in blue. So the blue as a representation, it is talking about the open sky. As you watch the sky, you get healed. And people today in chromotherapy and other things from India, they teach, like you have to go in a certain type of water. You can see certain type of change the light in the wall of your house. It's going to heal, and this is becoming really true today. They are documenting this. And the next is relativistic quantum mechanics. So according to this, is we can call it the Maya theory, whatever you can call it. But these theories come from ancient India, where they have found that everything is relative. You're thinking that, hey, I'm going to drink some tea, and I will have some candies and then have tea or a coffee. You're going to not taste the sugar in that. So what it really means is that if the sugar was inside that component, whenever you drink, you will have to have the same sweetness, but that doesn't happen. So what happened is basically it has shifted your your the amount of energy that you have has been shifted. Initially your tongue, the conversion of the taste through your tongue was, say, 100 units for the sugar. So usually that will be the for the sugar in this particular, say for example an Indian sweet like laddu, you're eating some Mysore pak or something. So what happens? The sweetness is so high that your energy consumed is 100 units, and the after that you're drinking a tea is only 6 units. So the difference is the it takes some time, say at least from 100 units to 6 units, it takes quite a bit of time to come down. So this is called metastable state, and when it comes down, during this time there is a time delay. So therefore immediately you're not able to feel the taste, but once it comes to a few, after a few seconds you will be able to. So that means what? Everything that we are doing is relative, not only in the taste. It could be something else. Sometimes we are angry, and somebody, you're having less energy, and your kid is playing something, and you don't like it. He's turning on the TV or doing something, you don't like it. But at the same time, when you have energy, you will be able to just forgive very easily. So the relativity, it's not about the real thing, but it's relativity. What it says is you are the one who is enjoying this. Nothing is outside. It could be anything. There is nothing called an enjoyment outside you. It could be even sex, or even any enjoyment that you're thinking about is all within you. It is a lie that it looks like it is appearing outside, because it's all energy transmission of yourself. So the energy, whether you want it to be good or not, will depend on yourself. So I can give you an example of how Another example of many people know that gooseberries, amla, nelikai. So if you eat that and you drink water, water is becomes sweet. So where did this sweetness come from in water? So that means water itself, so far it's called neutral, is no more neutral. It has its own tendencies. It has its own taste, and you can differentiate taste in water in different places. And you know that water is, so it is all relative. So what we thought is only, it's a maya. We think that this is true and this is true and this is this is going to give me enjoyment. This is more, if I do more I will get this enjoyment, and ultimately this is all fake. And that's what the relativity quantum mechanics talks about in ancient science. And same way, spectroscopy. If you look at the spectroscopy theory, they have explained only for the light. Here we can have spectroscopy for light, taste, smell, touch, everything, sound. So all the five you can have spectroscopy. So if you have sarigama padani, that will be for the so you can see transition diagram or energy level diagram. You can use those equations that are used in spectroscopy to define everything. So we need people who wanted to, who have understood energy level diagrams. It makes your life much easier to understand. So these are energy level diagrams are nothing but they're diagrams as such that you see here, which makes your understand these transitions better. So these transitions can be actually calculated, and actually we can do real-time experiments, not just a theoretical experiment like in spectroscopy, but we can really get a real number that can help. So this is going to be revolutionary in spectroscopy, not just in one area. So then the transformation theory. So so far we know that E is equal to h nu is a concept which where energy is nothing but Planck's constant times the frequency. So this is an equation, and people have beyond that have not thought anything. But in our ancient knowledge, we have everything has been mentioned about E is equal to pressure, PF, E is equal to AF. So all these things you can call, they all not only for the light, they're also talking about pressure, sound, taste, and smell. So it's a very complete unified theory. If we can find out the constant, it is very revolutionary, and which is not difficult to find all these constants. So we will have different number, like the H, we will have different number for different constants, and then you will have a complete unified theory for this also. So these all are revolutionary ideas that young children can be trained on this in this area. And the last one I want to talk you about is the ancient cosmology and evolution theory. So according to this theory, everything came from empty space. So if you look at how modern knowledge about the the evolution, usually people talk about the Big Bang theory or string theory, all these theories. See, these all are, and we started to believe that, oh, these people are talking truth, and and we start to because a lot of people publish on that, and we think, oh, universe is expanding, and these all are theories. There is nothing called truth here. It is just bunch of theories, and we are giving some hypothesis, and we, according to the hypothesis, we always create a theories, and until we have marketing and other things to move some books or anything. That's how the modern knowledge grows. But in ancient theory, there are wonderful theories, such as not only the universe emerging from empty consciousness space, but also it talks about how it evolves. Such as, for example, Newton thought about the universe as the force. So one physical mass will attract another physical mass. So force is defined by the mass times another mass, m1 m2 divided by r squared, the distance between the two masses. And he always thought that was the force. So Newton didn't find gravity. By the way, gravity was already there. And so people thought Newton, found what gravity is. Gravity cannot be found. It is not invented. It is only a discovery. So he found that a apple fell down, and he was thinking very mechanically. He did not ask who did this consciously. So with Newton in mechanics is a very Cartesian view, which shifted the human knowledge to a different kind of perspective of material science. And that after 200 years of think the 200 years, then we have Einstein, who had a very revolutionary idea. So his revolutionary ideas were very philosophical, and had some there was some soul to it. So he came up with this concept. You see, every concept doesn't exist as truth. All these concepts come from the brain. There is nothing as reality. When your brain collapses, nothing exists. All these theories vanish. But with his brilliant brain, he found that the whole universe is having, self-compressive. That the if you keep a rubber band, this is not the way it works, like Newton says. But it's not the one mass is attracting another mass, but the space, he says, is curved. So that means depending on the density of the object kept on space, the space will curve itself. So that is the reason, if you have a heavier element, heavier mass kept on the space, it's going to create a dent. And if you keep another mass, the dent will create, the space for it to rotate around it. So this is what his theory was, which is very amazing theory. But the ancient theory says even that is wrong. So if you look at the latest work, there are several sage scientists I'm talking about. For thousands of years, they have developed this, evolved. We have Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, 18th century, 19th century. We have 18th century Vallalar. There are people beyond that who have, all the, not just 18 Siddha, there are thousands of Siddhas who have worked on it. I can give you references for all these things, how space and energy particles they have discussed widely. But in the 19th century, there was a revolutionary scientist, a sage scientist, name is Vedatri Maharishi. He really cracked down into most fundamental knowledge. So what is the thing that he did was bringing the concept of self-compressive force, which he understood from a very different perspective. So what it says is that the whole universe is not just the space is not just as it is already curved. It's not plain as we see. It's not square, but it is spherical in nature. So this is the wonderful concept, because he defines that because of this, gravity exists, because it's already self-compressive. Whatever you put in will have to rotate through that. It is not because of the dent created by that particle. It is already that space, as we see, is curved, and we are not able to see because we are in the curvature of the space, and space cannot be seen, perceived. So this is the most amazing theory which will take over everything, and we can explain now everything, what is happening. So 4 different forces are there, like how electromagnetic force are working, or the unified the forces in your body, or they call the strong force or weak force, all different forces. So all this can be unified under one principle, and the same principle applies to the whole universe. The atomic structure also can be explained from this perspective, and the whole universe, why one planet is rotating around another planet, all this can be explained using this theory. I have cracked down into most fundamental of how these energy particles have arrived, and how the beginning of the universe, everything can be learned. But at this moment, we do not have that much of time. So now I'll open for any questions. Thank you for listening to me. So I'll open for questions now. You have any questions? So why we have this, the whole idea, why do we wanted to discuss about this is basically we have to know the strength of this ancient science. When we're talking about ancient science, I'm not talking about stories. So we have a solid evidence that can be converted into modern scientific knowledge, which can be um, uh, you know um, published in modern literature. So one of the activities that we are doing is to publish. So yeah, so we have a question from uh, Om Vadalapatla. Okay, so let's. I will try to unmute. Give me a second, please. So I think I will end here. Thank you, the Facebook. I don't think so you will be able to listen to the questions, but thank you very much. So I'll continue with the Zoom people here. Thank you for the time. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I got this. Okay. So I'm going to unmute. Who was the question was from? Did they leave already? So let me check what the question was. Can you elaborate a bit on light therapy? Yes. So light therapy is that, see, when we're talking about targeted drug delivery and things like that you can target certain part of the body on light, and light will kill the cells. So this is the modern knowledge about uh, light therapy. But our ancient knowledge, they have found that this is no non-invasive. Basically their thought process itself is non-invasive. They weren't used for killing the cells, but enlivening or giving energy to the cells. So they are so that is why it's taking sattvikally. A sattvic process is a slower process of intaking light in a different ways. It is not using the modern bulb and everything. These are harmful. Even modern people are using. Even the ancient people are now talking about chromotherapy and all. They shouldn't be using these lights. They can create different spectrum. All different colors can be created using different types of oils and different types of wicks. This technology is available in ancient India. In fact, I am teaching this in my Burma course. But that kind of thing can be, can be done. So that will be very useful. So the way it slowly, the light can go inside and heal the cell. It has the biomagnetic property. So the light's biomagnetism goes very good with our body's biomagnetism. They mix very easily. So you energize the cell, and that's how you can get out of healing, including cancer and other things. But do we have to test this? Yes, we can document this by continuously doing experiments. We can document and test. We need investment on this. Yes. and it doesn't take much investment. It's the experiments are cheap, but to do that we need a professor, we need a student, and all these things. And modern in the West, people don't allow, if you put a light and things like that, there are limitations in the lab also. So it need to be conducted in other countries mostly, until we have a lot of fun to break the rules, then it can be conducted anywhere, so that's the concern. So if if the whole universe is self-compressive, how come moon still rotates around Earth instead of crashing it on? Okay, so the whole universe, if you look at the self-compressive force, so if you have a moon here, the Earth here, and there is a moon here, so each one is rotating. That's why the spin is very important. When the spin is happening in each particle, the spin, two energy particles do not collide with each other, and that is called this because of the repulsive force created by the magnet. So the magnet is produced, the transformative magnet. That means, for example, if it's in a solid, there will be energy particles, independent energy particle in a solid. The solid energy particles will convert that into a smell. So the conversion is an emerging of these secondary energy particles around the it's called the shadow waves. The shadow waves merge with the space, and during this process the shadow wave push the other, because both of these particles will have shadow waves, they push until they lose all the spin and merge with the universe. They're going to be separated. They cannot, because of their own magnetic energy. The same principle. So it's nothing but the planet is a collective energy, the collective body of the fundamental energy particles. So the net energy particle in a planet is also the same, how it behaves. The sun will rotate in space, but the sun will have a wave. Okay, so the sun is rotating and the earth is rotating around that. So now the where does this rotation is because of the fundamental energy particles rotating, but it is also revolving. Why it is revolving? Because when sun is in the center, the field also start to rotate. The magnetic field around the sun, which is produced temporarily, also start to rotate temporarily. So that is why it will carry whatever it is in. Same way, the moon is also carried by the Earth's field. Earth has a field, and because of the field, the moon is being carried around it. So the moon, the repulsive force of the moon and Earth will keep the distance always. So that's how it works. To sun watching also heals body. A sun watch also heals body, but there is a method of looking at it. They have experts, in what time you have to look at it and how you have to look at it. Once you become one with the sun, you can get energy directly from the sun. Not only sun, you can get from plants, watching the green plants, very important. Walking on the grass, you can get, just lay down in the and looking at the sky, right? You can go to the ocean and watch the water. All these are energy. There is nowhere, when you're playing, when the mind is playing, you get energy from everywhere. But these are natural things, right? If you sit in front of your computer, you will lose energy. But if you sit in front of this, you will gain energy. So that is the difference. So how can evidence be generated for repeatability per the requirements of clinical study for any of these therapies? Evidence cannot be created, so we need to find new rules for creating our own rules. We have to create a own set of rules for how to carry out these particular experiments. And we have to have a paradigm shift approach for this. We need only a modern framework. We don't need modern science. So in order for having modern framework, either the people having the Sanskrit or Tamil or Siddha, Ayurveda, this knowledge, they should be understanding the modern science, which is very rare. But the best bet would be to train the people in the modern science on the ancient knowledge. It takes quite a bit, but then the framework will be right. So when you have the framework, so we need these two people to collectively work so that they get the framework to set up paradigm shift experiments for this. So these all are, you don't want to do the way how things are done. You don't have, you cutting a frog or, a rat. These all doesn't work that way. I mean, these all are theories. They have done this way. They could have done another. So billions of animals are killed just for the sake of this. We could prevent all these things. We can do non-invasive techniques. It's very harmless. We have been doing this. So there is no need the way we have designed in Western way, because they are invasive. So they will need that kind of a rule for, phase 1, phase 2, clinical, all these things, in vitro, in vivo. So we don't need that kind of a thing. These all are directly can be done in clinical level if you're conducting in India and other countries where they're accepting this. And then the only thing, once that is done, you can jointly publish with in the Western countries. So that's how we need to publish this. So can we generate molecular dynamics for action of any of the therapies? Yes, we could do this, but whether that will be useful. So whether you wanted to support the modern theory or whether you wanted to support the ancient theory, so it depends on how you wanted to support this. So you are always thinking that what already they have talked about light and everything is true. That's not true. Even in ancient science, they say that the light is not traveling. Light is only transforming. It's a transformation, like how sound and taste, light is also transformed. So the whole concept of light itself is very different. So we need to fundamentally now understand the molecular structure from an ancient perspective, because they have measured. Anu Paramanu was measured. Paramanu is, there is a measurement. So Manasara has done many units for this. If you look at Vastu principles and Astas, and if you're understanding Angulas, then there are different units. So if you're using those units, the entire thing will shift. So they have the diamond shape of atom, all these things. They have how many atoms for this molecular structure. So there were different perspective of the molecules, not the way how modern sees. By the way, nobody has seen an atom. All measurements, everything, the atom or molecular structure is human made. It's all PhD students who are drawing pictures and we are producing. That's not the way it is. Is there any bonding? You remember, like the chemistry bonding, is there real? It's not real. Bonding doesn't exist. Humans have created for our own understanding. Similarly, you can have different kind of things. So now we are making people believe that this is truth, and that is where we need to crack down that, and this deeper level understanding is needed. And this could be it's a big challenge, because people, if you don't have a scientific background, easily people can cheat you, like selling marketing things. It will just penetrate inside you. So that's very important to have a little bit of fundamental knowledge on all of these subjects. It's very important. So thank you. So if any questions, fine. So we are already running late. So I will just try to unmute. If you have anybody has a quick question, then we'll we'll finish. Hello. Okay. Well, if there's no questions.
Yeah, there's one question. This is using Kannada's Vaiseshika Darshana. It's a mechanism to understand the physical existence of the universe, whether in particles or in relationship with each other, whether it is metallurgy, whether you take about different material forms or different classifications. Can that be used as a mechanism for bridging the gap with modern science and Ayurveda?
Yes, we could in principle, but slightly we have to understand how the structures work. So this is actually we have to do anyways. Present state, you cannot have any paradigm shift experiment at all. So initially we have to have integrated approach only. until we really crack down. So here we can do studies that can be correlated. So you can do spectroscopy. You can crack down the independent molecules. For example, you can see the in photobiology experiment certain things. You can measure the brain. So you can understand the structures. It can help. And in material science, of course, you can do a lot in the Siddha literature. And, because Siddha is mostly alchemy. So like the rasayanas in Ayurveda. So we can all apply the whole theory of, not just the pharmacological theory, but with different combinations of, if you put one with another, what happens, so it will be helpful. Modern research will definitely be helpful, but how we are using that's what matters. How we are going to set the experiment, and what will be the end result is not just a publication, because the understanding of the people in the editorial board of any journal will be Western perspective, because they all are trained in Western. So there is no actual journal editorial board who can understand this kind of a concept. So therefore we are going to tweak our studies according to that, and that need to change. So we need to have new kind of journals. We have journals called Ancient Science Ayurvedic, but we need to have more this kind of journals which are well reputed, and we have to create a different kind of criteria for the impact factor and things like that, so it becomes mainstream. So definitely, but this will help.
So what kind of efforts are currently on way for creating such boards and such journals?
Well, we already have. So for example, VRA Press. You go to vripress.com. So we have journals on that. Ancient Science is a journal, so you can take a look at it. There are other journals, number of journals. We need to have a modern people. So where we do have modern from Harvard and other universities. We need to have ancient perspective. People who know about, to some extent they should know English, but otherwise if they know the subject, it's good. From both, we have to have one key. At this point I am doing, like, integrating, trying to understand with, sitting with them, and putting this together. But we need people who can help between both sciences. So then we will have an editor who can do both ways, understand the ancient and modern. So this is a real challenge, because there are very few who can do that. So that is the only challenge, but this can be done, which can be achieved. The youngsters, if you are training the youngster students for 4 to 5 years, they all can turn into amazing people for the editorial board. So definitely, but right now we're government need to really do this in a big way, not just doing Ayush kind of research will help only very little, but in a bigger way we need to invest on independently proving all these theories, not based on some people talking about this is a very boring theories what we are doing, finding all the signal and other cellular biology. That's not. We have to go bulk statistical and try to prove our science, not the Western science. So that's not going to help build the science. So why? Because Western science can have advantage. There are people to build Western science, but we need people to build the ancient science, which is more valuable. It's for humanity. It's for the whole planet.
Yeah. So can you by any means publish a small set of requirements for both sides knowledge base? So if I'm able to help you in the process, or I'm able to contribute, I'll be able to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can
just simple bullets stating that these are the 4 things that you require from Western science background. These are the 4 things you require from a traditional background. So people do spend their time in research in these areas, so that people can actually come with those backgrounds and testify for you, and then you can see if they're valuable.
Well,
I would
see,
request that.
the open Western professors are, they should have some open idea for accepting concept. That's what they need. There's nothing much requirement. They should accept global concept, different traditions. They are okay with that. That kind of attitude they should have. Number one, that's enough. So when that happens in the East, we have problem putting down things in a modern way. So that is a problem. So we can train them to some extent. We can use students and other researchers to extrapolate from them. Extract the knowledge and then extrapolate. So that's what we wanted to do from them. And when we do that, we will have a beautiful. And then we are already doing the encyclopedia, which is 108 encyclopedias. We already have for one encyclopedia we'll be releasing soon. They are contributing, different people contribute. They have done this encyclopedia for different areas of ancient science. First one encyclopedia will be exclusively on the different areas. So each one will be a chapter. It could be medicine, it could be psychology, it could be consciousness, it could be ancient agriculture, different fields, to show that we have so many fields. And then the second onwards, we will, in medicine, different areas of medicine, like Shalyatantra is one area, like surgery or dentistry, oral care, different areas we will be publishing. So that's one. And then so 108 will be so many new dimensions that are available, new areas that are unknown to the world. Those and all will be published. So we already have this in process. So we started this project. So we are trying to get funding from the Indian government to support this, and Indian government can get also benefited by the selling the copies, so that India can grow also. So that's what we are thinking. So we want to contribute to the Indian government as a social service. Yeah.
Yeah, there is another person you probably already are aware of. I've heard him lecture at Jawaharlal Institute, Nehru Institute. His name is Rajiv Malhotra. He started a recent project on this area regarding research in the Ayurvedic and Indian sciences and the encyclopedia. I'll be very happy to connect you if you can, or at least get some direction from you. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So we can always connect, so the more the number of people, the more. So that's our co-realization model. So our model itself is to connect with all other people and together work. And that's the core model, the principle of this. So only when we do that, we can achieve this. This is not through individuals or individual organization. That will not work. Everybody putting together as a team, and this may be possible. Yes, the more the number, it's good for us. Okay. So thank you all. We are running late, so we'll catch up. You can email at s.lakshmanan@vetha.org or info@vetha.org, vetha.org, if you need any information. So one announcement I have is that we are going to release the same the diploma and PhD degrees, pretty soon. So diploma degree in integrative medicine, which is taught by experts, many experts. So the first part will be raising the questions, like for example, B.M. Hegde. Hegde has done wonderful research. He has known ancient, modern knowledge for a long time, but he is not a Vaidya. So he has his own knowledge of in Ayurveda, which he applied and saw. So he has a certain perspective for that and the application to modern knowledge. So he will be teaching 10 modules. And then that will give you a key idea. And then John Reed is another from Johns Hopkins. So he is a modern professor who will be talking about preventive medicine and from a Western perspective. So like that, we have a question raised, and then we will have going into a fundamentals of ancient science, and then we will find the answer. So that's how we structured. So all our experts who will be teaching, who all have 20 to 30 years of experience. They all have PhDs also in modern Siddha or Ayurveda or yoga, in all the areas. So they have, and many of them are practicing here in the United States after coming to here. So they will be teaching this course collectively, and we are expecting around 500 students, which means not just many institutes are interested in these courses, such as the Yacha Tech University in Ecuador. So like this, so bunch of group of people are interested in different places. So we are launching it in a big way, so that it will reach many people as possible, because of the amount of time we are spending together as different university in different institutes are coming forward to be realize. So that's our model, and we will include more institute as we go down the line. Okay, and different courses also, agriculture, another course, and so that's our model. So thank you all for your time, and keep supporting us. We will do more. Thank you. See you all next week.